Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. Tonight, we have a Wellness Wednesday conversation. The holidays are supposed to be filled with joy, family, and togetherness. Unfortunately, for many, Christmas can feel painfully quiet. Studies show 1 in 3 adults feel lonely at least once a week, and younger adults are reporting the highest levels of isolation. Well, tonight we're talking about the people who feel forgotten during this season, the empty chairs, the unanswered texts, the silent nights. The doctor is in the house to break down the warning signs of holiday loneliness, why it hits so hard this time of year, and most importantly, what you can do if you're feeling alone or know someone who is. My guest is Dr. Danielle Harrison. She's a Howard University psychiatrist. Dr. Harrison, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you for having me again. It's an important conversation.
I think it really, really is, because for those people who have family and friends around, a lot of times the issue may be it's just too much. There are too many relatives, too many friends, too many people coming in from out of town. There is this kind of crowded feeling. But often, as we are suggesting, that some people are lonely during this holiday season. Why do you believe it feels more intense during the holidays?
I think during the holidays, things are really highlighted. I was telling one of my friends the other day, like, those of you who have great families and connections with your parents, and you really have a life where you could just like sit on the sofa and watch movies during the holidays with your parents and your family and friends. And I think people think that's the norm, but actually what I see as a psychiatrist who covers the emergency department here in DC is an uptick. Like, I see more patients who are coming in feeling lonely, feeling down, people who don't have families and don't have that connections. I think it's more intense because of the expectations, right? Society expects you to have these family get-togethers, expects you to have loved ones. Also, it's when you realize, what you have and what you don't have. And I think that there's a lot of focus on what you're able to, even what you're able to get, what you're able to buy, gifts you're able to give, like what you can and cannot afford. I think things like that are very highlighted. I think social media highlights these things, like what is lacking, especially. And I think that during the holidays, it's when people really remember, like, oh, in the past, I had this. And my holidays before, when I was a child, I had this person, and now they're gone. Or I don't have the same connection, or I don't have a spouse or a partner. And I think they're really highlighted during this time, and that's why it's so intense.
What do you believe is the difference between feeling lonely during the holidays and being alone during the holidays?
Individuals, I think it's based on the person, right? Like, I can be alone and I can be okay with that. I can be alone, but when I'm starting to feel lonely, it's a feeling like a longing, like something is missing for me. Like, there are some people who are okay with their, I'm sitting here, I'm by myself, I can live like this, I know I can reach out to people. And there are some people who are surrounded by people and still feel lonely. Some people who are surrounded by connections, by work, by people on social media, but they're lacking that depth, like actually those deep connections, and that can lead to a feeling of loneliness.
Mm-hmm. And because I would imagine, as we are seeing at this time of the month, this is 1 week before Christmas, people are beginning to take time off. So they have been working, and depending on, of course, what you do, for a living and how you interact with people, you may be around a lot of people. And I would imagine that some people would prefer, if they can, to kind of sit alone and decompress. And I don't mean for an hour or two, but I'm talking about during the holidays, to decompress for a day or two without a lot of holiday noise.
Right. We have that side of people who feel overwhelmed by the holidays. You're back in connection with people that you have no choice but to be connected to. I think people feel like that. And I think people don't have boundaries in place. And sometimes things are very triggering. Being around your family can be very triggering. You remember things come up from the past, even if it's just a benign conversation, things that you don't want to discuss, or people are discussing politics, people are discussing, we're here in DC, people are discussing whether or not you're employed or what you're doing next. So I think that also is a lot of pressure and people can feel overwhelmed. On the flip side of that is people who are used to being at work, going to work, say at a university or a hospital, or at a radio station where you have lots of people, you have people who come in. And then when it's winter break time, when it's holiday break time, you find yourself alone. Like, you find yourself not having an obligation, not having something to get up for and to go to. And you have a lot of times to just sit with yourself and realize, hey, I actually don't have a connection right now. I am feeling lonely.
Which brings me to my next question. So what are some warning signs that holiday loneliness may become a mental health concern, as opposed to just kind of feeling the blues, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I know people use the term like winter blues or holiday blues, and I'm fine with that term. I think it's important to understand, though, when you're exiting that just down for a couple of days. So one thing that's important to really understand is timing. Like, anything that is lasting for a prolonged period, like over 2 weeks, a month, feeling these feelings, that's important to note. That's when we start to look at things clinically. Also, the symptoms like not wanting to connect, not having the same interest that you used to have. Like, you used to care about going to work, you used to care about spending time going to games or watching games with your community or whatever, and now you're not doing that anymore. Also, sleep. So I think people sleep on sleep, but sleep is very important. When it starts to impact your sleep, all types of things can happen. Not having enough sleep leads to stress. Not having enough sleep sometimes leads to people feeling like they're so overwhelmed they don't want to live anymore because they're just physically and mentally exhausted and drained. So I think those things are important. Also, a lack of appetite. We're now in a place where there's going to be a lot of food options, a lot of people bringing things, but if you don't even have an appetite, you don't even feel like eating, that's when we're starting to get concerned that this may be more than just a winter blues and maybe something that we need to look at clinically and closer.
So if that is the case, what do the winter blues feel like? How is that different? Because based on what you were just sharing with us, yeah, those are some pretty serious symptoms, experiences. But, are you just with the winter blues or holiday blues because you were feeling lonely? Are you just kind of sitting and pouting? Is it a lesser degree of the same thing?
Yeah, I don't want to call it pouting. I also remember earlier this year there was a term on social media called bed rot, like where you just stay in the bed and don't feel like doing anything.
I call that sleep, but so it really depends on.
Well, let's talk about the motivation piece, right? Like, you don't even have the motivation to get up. You don't even have the motivation to get up, to shower, things like that. I think the timing is important. Again, like, if it's just a couple days, right? It's just like a day I felt like this, or 2 days I felt like this, 3 days even, maybe even a week that you're feeling like this. I think that could be what we could say is like, just a blues or just feeling down for a little bit. And anyone, like any person, you or I, anyone can go through these periods of time where you just feel like, I don't have the motivation, I'm not engaged. Also, another sign that I think is important for this winter holidays is isolation. Like, are you doing things to make sure you don't connect with people? Are you ignoring people's texts? Are you ignoring people's calls? And I don't mean like, people calling to ask you what you got them for Christmas, or can they borrow something to get something for Christmas? But I mean,
or are you going to bring the potato salad or something like that?
Not like that. I mean, like, genuinely, if someone you previously connected with or you have plans with, you're supposed to go out and do something with, and then you just don't answer, you just don't respond. Like, that would be something important to look at from my perspective.
Is it different for young people in this day and age? Are younger adults reporting higher levels of loneliness? And if so, what's driving that trend?
Yes, and I think that's something that I wasn't expecting, is that a recent study by the American Psychiatric Association, what I used to where I used to be a leader in, said that young people, actually like 18 to 35, are showing more signs of loneliness and talking about it more. And I'm like wondering, is that they're more vocal? Like, is this a group? This is a generation. I'm a millennial, but I think I'm a Jerry millennial. The younger millennials and the whatever comes after me, the kids, they're they're more vocal about their loneliness and their mental health issues, going through things than I think previous generations. So we have a higher rate of reporting things that might have been, swept under the rug or not discussed by previous generations. So there's that aspect. But also, I think that there is the assumption that social media keeps me connected, that, oh, I'm able to DM people and slide in DMs and look at you on Snapchat, and that means that you're connected, but it's superficial, right? So I think what we're seeing is a lack of actually in-depth relationship and building and connections. And then you also have to remember that a lot of them, some of my students who are in this period, call themselves like COVID kids. Like, they have been going through a time when they were in COVID in 2020, 2021. They didn't have these real connections, and they also lost those social skills to actually connect with people and actually know how to engage like in a real one-to-one level. And that's at the time when they are developing these skills in adolescence and young adulthood. So I think those are important things to look at too.
Well, I think that is an important point, because I would imagine that parents of a certain age who may hear from their children, if they have teenage children, for example, and those children may say, well, gosh, I'm lonely. And I can hear in my head, if I had said something like that to my parents, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that, gosh, I'm lonely, then, my mother would have said, what are you lonely about? I'm here. And or my father would have said, what are you talking about? But that was then, and this is now. And as you were suggesting, there are other kinds of dynamics and modern social factors that will contribute to young people not being able to connect, and how they define connection.
Right. I have the only reason I know that you're of a different certain age is because I know you have a young daughter, and I remember that the last
Yes.
time where she was getting
Yes, and she's grown.
Yeah,
So,
I remember around the last time I was on here, so I know that's the only reason I know, because Black
yes.
you over there and how you're a certain age. But yeah, people like your daughter and your daughter's age, they might say these things. And I think even for me, like growing up, if I said, oh, I'm bored, and my mother would say, well, you're boring, you go read a book. Like, it's a lot of, it's like, well, you're boring. It's on you. Like, you're lonely. What do you mean? Go outside. And I think,
Right. I was going to say that. Go outside. It's cold outside. Put a hat on and go outside. Yes.
Right. Like, oh, you need to go do something. I think we're seeing a shift, and a shift that is positive to me, that people are more in tune to listening to the feelings of their children, the youth in their lives in the early adulthood, because we have seen, unfortunately, especially in the Black community, an increase in the amount of suicide attempts and suicides in our youth. So I do appreciate that people are listening to them now more, but if you're listening to them, also try to connect with them and give them some depth. Because like I said, there are so many social media, and even, people are using AI as their friends and to ask questions and things like that. So, but that's great, but that is superficial, and that's not giving you real meaning. And it's not really meaningful connection that you need in order to get through things like this winter blues or holiday loneliness, but just in general, like mental health conditions. So it's not enough. And I think we need to do more to develop these relationships, because they might have all the social media friends and followers, as you've seen. People who have hundreds of thousands of followers let you know that they're having these issues, and sometimes too late.
Yeah. Dr. Harrison, please hang on, because I have so many other questions for you, and you've already made some points that I definitely want to follow up with. But I wanted to remind our listeners that you can hear this and every edition of the Daily Drum Inside segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The Original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is next on WHUR-FM. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We continue our conversation about how to deal with holiday loneliness. My guest is Dr. Danielle Hairston, a double board certified psychiatrist at Howard University Hospital. She's also a mental health advocate. Before the break, we were talking specifically about young people, Dr. Hairston, and some of the other factors that really kind of contribute to their loneliness during the holidays. But I want to drill down a little bit more, whether this is young people or just adults, where they may be invited to a Christmas party or New Year's Eve party or gathering, and they may still feel a sense of loneliness. What is that?
Yeah, I think that's a concept that is difficult for people to understand. Like, how can you feel lonely when you're surrounded by people? And people will say, well, your friends are here. How can you feel like this? Or you have a huge family. How can you feel lonely? And it's because it's a feeling, and it's my internal feeling, right? That I might have people surrounding me, but I don't feel a deep connection, or I don't feel like I have someone that is supporting me totally. Like, y'all are all here, but what's next? Like, what's next after this party? Like, I came to this Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, whatever, New Year's Day party, but what else? Like, what's after this? Who do I have to lean on after this? Who do I have to lean on after this party? Who am I really connected? Like, can I actually reach out to you? Can we have a conversation? Are we all in a group text where people are actually responding and checking in? So I think that's something that's important for us to know also. You can feel lonely. It's inside, it's internal, it's a feeling, even if it seems like you're surrounded by people.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, specifically as it relates to the holidays, and in that particular case, a Christmas party or what have you, that inside, that doesn't necessarily have to do with the fact that you may not know anyone, that you may be, one of your buddies invites you to the party, come on and go to this party, and you don't know anyone, because some people can walk alone into a room full of strangers and by the end of the night have 20 new friends. Is that a personality trait? And I don't mean deficit, but I mean, is that a personality trait where some people are just more gregarious, more engaging than others, and that may be the downside of, may be exacerbated by the fact that they aren't as engaging, not as gregarious, even during this time of holiday cheer?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone might not be like a Harold Fisher who can come into a room. There are no strangers, but they might.
I'm going to walk in and I'm going to stand in the corner. And not talk and be quiet.
I really am, though. I am Dr. Or you might be a Dr. Harrison. I'm walking in. I'm hello. I'm gonna give some daps. I'm gonna say hi, but I'm mostly gonna sit here and just observe. Like, that's my comfort space, right? And it's not a deficit. I think it's just something that's highlighted, right? That in a time when there are expectations, like you're going to a party, a social gathering, people are expecting you to now like put on like, oh yes, why aren't you talking? Oh, why are you quiet? And I think that it's highlighted in this heightened social activities and social expectations at gatherings. So it's not a negative or a positive, it's just a difference. Like, introverts versus extroverts, or the other one, ambiverts, like where you're in between. So I think whatever it is highlighted. There's so much scrutiny, it's so much in your face that you now see these things. And also, people have anxiety. People have social anxiety. People are worried about how they're going to be perceived. It's a whole disorder. It's a whole diagnosis. Like, people are worried about how they're going to be perceived, if they're going to be judged. Like, what about wearing this? What about saying this? What are people going to think if what I say is not funny? So it's a real thing. It happens.
Mm-hmm. Are there people who perhaps may be more susceptible to loneliness during the holidays? Obviously, we've spoken about, the teenagers who may not be able to connect, but what about the other groups of people? Are there those who may be at a higher risk this time of year?
Anecdotally, I'm going to say what I've seen is that people who have recent losses, and even if the loss is not recent, but it's around the holiday time, like I lost, if someone says, I lost my father or my mother during this time, it's hard for me to get through these holidays, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, Hanukkah, whatever it is, like this holiday is triggering for me. So that's a risk factor that I've seen. Also, for people who have gone through breakups and they are now entering a holiday season where they're not going to be with someone, they're not Netflixing and chilling with anyone. Like they are realizing that, oh yeah, this is my period that I'm going to be alone. My expectations are not where my expectations are not where I am. And I think that's where we get a big discrepancy about what people expect, what society expects, and where we are. And it would be beneficial for all of us if we would just, mitigate, adjust our expectations. Everyone's holidays does not have to look the same. Your holiday doesn't have to look like mine.
I didn't really think about that, although this is one of those things, that you've heard the phrase funny but not funny, where you've heard people who do not have significant others. You say, Santa, can you drop off a man or a partner or a sister, for Christmas,
I can say that even in my practice, if there was a pill that I could bring you a partner or a spouse, right, that would be a miracle, and I would be able to retire at 40. But I can't because there is no pill, right? There is no pill that does that. And during this time when people are posting their significant others, posting their kids, posting families, even posting their dogs, like it highlights for people that, oh, I don't have that. And instead of allowing some grace and understanding, like everyone isn't there, you don't know what's the background of their story or the background of this picture or video. People put a lot of pressure on themselves.
God, yeah, my goodness. Thinking about, again, the social media piece, you are literally poured upon with all of these positive images because, as we know, 98%, 99% of people, they only post what they want, people to see. So it doesn't matter whether or not you and your husband or you and your wife or what have you are having, marital problems. But during Christmas, you all are still together and you're going to post the family pictures under the tree. And for those people who are lonely, you see that and they may say, gosh, I wish I had that for myself.
They do. Matching PJs, matching pajamas, suits. I know people really get into that. However, you don't know what it took to get that person into that matching pajamas, and you don't know what happened after they took that off or before they put it on. And we have to realize that social media shows you what they want to show you. I love to take trips and flights, and that's what I want to be doing for the holidays. But I'm not showing you the long lines at the airport, or that I missed my connecting flight, or that I was delayed overnight and I didn't make it. I missed 2 days out of my trip. So social media just shows you and really glamorizes what people want you to see. And I think we have to recognize that you have to give yourself some grace. You got to take a break. You have to give yourself some grace and know that everything is not perfect. You don't need to put these pressures on yourself during the holidays, especially during the holidays, but period.
Seniors, older people also, I'm sure that is really a critical population.
Yes.
That is affected. Even those from really big, close families. But if everybody is younger and your group, the folks that you've known for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, I know the conversation for my mother is that her church members are passing away, right? The ones that she's been used to seeing for 60 years.
Yeah. What I hear from our seniors, and I love our seniors in the community. I live with one in my house. But what I hear is, even though the children are here, the grandchildren are here, they still remember, especially during the holidays, remember that growing up, I had this person, I had my siblings, I had my parents, I had my cousins, I had whoever, and now my partner, and now they're not here anymore. And even though you all are here, my children are here, neighbors are here, it's not the same. It's just not the same for them. And they do experience this loneliness. And I think there's not really anything that you can do. They have to just process and sit with that. It is good to actually talk about it and go to therapy. I know my seniors don't always want to buy into the therapy and actually going to talk to someone and talk about your problems. But this is the time when you actually do need to express yourself and not just keep it inside. Like, I know this is a different holiday than you had. It might be a different holiday than you just had last year with your church members there. If someone passed away, if your neighbor passed away. However, we have to look at how do we move forward? How do we honor them and care about them and dedicate some time to them, but also move forward and appreciate who you have in your life today.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. What responsibility do you believe that those of us who are younger have to make sure that our seniors are not feeling alone?
So this is the time that I'm going to say the work is not on the seniors' part. Like, the work is on the rest of us, the younger ones, the ones with older loved ones. Reach out to them. Like, I know you are very busy. I'm very busy, but just reach out and just text them. Well, they might not be texting. Reach out and call them. Even if they don't answer, leave them a message so that they can play this. If they have the ability, if they're tech savvy enough and you have like videos you can send them, or videos of people who might have passed away, and show them like good time slideshows, things like that, just to honor who they might be missing. But I'm really putting the onus. I don't like to give people too much work, but I'm going to put the work on us to check in on our seniors. We should just text them, just reach out and see how they're doing. Call them, even if they don't answer, just see what they're going through, see what they're thinking. Just ask them, like, the ones that are allowed to cook, like, what are you cooking today? What's going on? What are you thinking about? Is there something I can bring you? If you can't bring it for them, can you Uber Eats it to them? Can you DoorDash it to them? If there's something that they need, even if you can't be there immediately for them in person, like, what is there something that they're missing or they wish they had, so that you show this connection and just let them know that they are in your thoughts and you are thinking about them.
One of the things that has occurred to me is that we live in a very, very transient society. So many professionals may take on new jobs in places that are away from home, or are away from familiar surroundings. You may be from Washington, D.C., and you've gotten a new job in Los Angeles, for example, in a place where things may be wholly unfamiliar to you, and you may not be able to go home for whatever reason that may be. It may be financial, it may be responsibility, whatever. We are 1 week away from Christmas Eve, 2 weeks away from New Year's Eve. What tips would you give to someone who is away from home, who is away from the familiar, to cope with the possibility that they may feel a sense of holiday loneliness?
Create new traditions. And lower those previous expectations that you had on yourself. Like, I know you might have thought, like, Christmas is not Christmas unless I do this, this, and this, and I see this person, this person, this person. But change that. Like, it is okay to spend Christmas with your family instead. You want to go on a date on Christmas. You want to do a friends meetup, a Friendsmas. I know there's Friendsgiving, but I also saw Friendsmas lately. Like, do that. Like, do these theme parties where everyone has to bring this or wear this or is in this color or is this character. Like, do those things. Like, just change and challenge the traditions that you thought you have to have. Like, it is okay to change. Like, I am looking forward. I want to watch some true crime. Okay. I want to have a true crime day. That's what I want to do. That's what I like to do. That's what I want. I want my family to be able to open gifts and do whatever. Then I want to watch some true crime, and I want that to be my tradition for myself. I want to watch some true crime. I want my child to watch whatever she wants with her aunties, and then just change what you think you have to do. Like, you don't have to do anything in a certain way just because it's what it was done before, how it was done before.
And I know we've spoken about coping for those who may be feeling this, but like dealing with the seniors, it seems that it really is important for those who may be listening to this conversation who don't have an issue of feeling lonely, that maybe you need to look around, ask some questions about those people whom you know will, who are by themselves, and extend an invitation.
During this time, community is important. So reach out, build your community, touch your community. If there's someone that you feel like I haven't heard from in a while, they didn't answer my last text, maybe take it a little bit further. I'm not a caller, but I don't know, send them a voice note, like voice note them. I'm a voice note master. I'll voice note you before I call you 100 times, but send them a voice note, like just letting you know I was thinking about you. I just wanted to know if there's anything you need, or what are you doing for the holidays? Do you need somewhere to go? If you are not going through this loneliness, this is a time you don't have to give a gift necessarily, like a monetary gift, but or something you purchase. Like, give a gift, an act of community, an act of service. Like, just reach out to the people and let them know. Like, whenever people say like, it's good to see you, have you ever seen like the reaction when someone says to you, like, not just, oh, hi, good morning, but like, oh, it's good to see you, I'm happy to see you today. That has such a different reaction, because people know, like, oh, you're happy to see me, like, oh, you are thinking about me, oh, like, I actually matter. Let people know that they do matter. I think something that's been lost in our community and across the diaspora, what I really love though about the Black community in the diaspora, is that we have these connections. Like, you actually know your grandparents, you know them. But they're not in the same house as you necessarily, but you know them. Like, reach out to them, reach out to your aunt, or reach out to someone you used to do stuff with. Like, reach out to your aunt and say, hey, remember when we used to do this? Like, we used to always go to the movies. You want to watch something together? Do you want to have a meetup? Is there something that I can do to connect with you? And even if you're not available, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you.
You know, it really is such an important point about being, altruistic, being, magnanimous, being kind. And I just remembered, excuse me, I remember something that happened, oh my gosh, it was 25 years ago, when I was an adjunct professor in Baltimore. Now, this was a Thanksgiving thing, and sometimes we are a little late, even with our kindness, where I found out, coming back from Thanksgiving, that 3 students in one of my classes could not go home. One of them was an international student, and I remember 2 others just lived really, really far away. And I asked what they did for Thanksgiving, and they said, well, we just kind of stayed here, on campus. And I asked them whether or not they would have been interested in finding a way to come to my home, where my family, all 1,500 of them, on that Thanksgiving day, and all of them said yes. And so I think that in the broader scheme of things, again, if somebody is in your office, no matter where you work, you may know that one of your coworkers has lost a spouse, or one of your coworkers may be from another part of the country, and you may not know whether or not they are truly feeling lonely, but at least giving them the opportunity not to be alone, and giving them the chance to accept or decline. I don't think you really have a full understanding of how helpful that may be.
Right. Just like you asked the question, right? You asked the question, you learned about that. That impacted you now decades later, right?
Right. I mean, I still think about that.
You at least ask the question. And so now moving forward, next year, if you happen to see someone or they tell you they're, I don't know, they're not from here or they're not sure what they're going to do, you just ask the question. Even if someone declines, you can just say, would you be interested in it? And that's just showing that you have that interest and you have thoughts about their well-being and you don't want them to be lonely. Even if they decline, even if they say, no, I'm not going to do that, or if they question it, but they're at least going to think about it like, wow, my professor actually thought about me, and actually someone is there who cares about me and is keeping me in their thoughts. People always say, oh, you're in my thoughts and prayers. Well, actually show them that that they're actually in your thoughts and prayers. So just that small thing. Moving forward, you will always ask. If I know that I have students, here at Howard, we have students from all over the world, all over the country. And if I see one who happens to be around here still, it's like, campus closed today. Like, where are you still here? Do you need somewhere to go, or would you want to do something? I usually have like a friends event in December, and I didn't plan enough to do it this year. And I actually texted my friends this morning. I was like, I missed y'all. Like, I don't know why I didn't get it together. I had a lot going on this year, but I'm never going to let that happen again. And they were like, we miss you too. Like, can we at least do like a night out or a night in, something that's not the same, on the same level as what I would normally plan, but can we just do even like a night in, we all bring something. So now that you've thought about it. Now just put it into action next time, because you never know how that might touch someone and how that might impact them for the future.
Let's talk about really small practical steps that can be used to address holiday loneliness if you feel it may be an issue for you. How can you be proactive?
Remember that one size does not fit all. Everything does not have to be the same for everyone. So do not have that expectation that my holiday has to look like this holiday, and that my holiday has to even look like a holiday that I had in 1995 or in 2025 or 2023, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to have those same expectations for yourself. If you are going through loneliness, be honest with yourself. Like, acknowledge that this is something that is going on, and reach out to someone. Like, I know I talked about texting seniors, but actually just text someone and let them know, like, hey, I'm feeling kind of lonely. I was wondering what you're doing, just checking in, and see what they might say. You might not know. They might be going through the same thing. They might be looking for something to do as well. They might be looking for that community. They might be feeling lonely as well. And just, again, having your own traditions. You can do things in a different way. Don't let the pressures of society or of your family. Sometimes, like I said, holidays carry a lot of trauma. You do not have to do these things in the same way. You do not have to have the same conversations. And if you are there in a space with a large family like your 15,000 that you all have in your family, just know that boundaries are important, right? Boundaries are important. I'm not going to engage in that. Taking a walk, walking away from that, going outside, having a video call with one of your friends to ground yourself and bring you back to who you are and remember what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to forget about the children, because busy parents may miss these signs, but if they are engaged and realize that a child may feel lonely, what do you recommend that they say to the child to help address those issues?
Listen to them. First of all, listen. If they say something, listen. Like, if you have a child that's actually expressing things to you, that is a blessing. Like, listen to them and ask them for further details. And if you don't have one, but you know your child and you know how they move, if you notice that things are not what they would usually be doing, if they usually are doing things with their friends, or if they're usually on the game, but now they're isolating themselves and not doing that, call that out. Just ask them, why is that happening? oh, I noticed you haven't been on the game with your friends. I know you don't care about that. I noticed you don't care about that lately. I thought you were really into that. What's going on? Just ask further clarifying questions. Don't just assume. And I don't want to say, don't say like my mother, you're boring if you're bored.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, no,
That's
you don't want to be mean or condescending, and
please
and
don't.
certainly, yeah, we've had light moments during this conversation, but again, as they say, children these days are built differently,
Yes.
and some of the things that were applicable to us during the Flintstone years just do not apply anymore, because children connect differently.
They connect differently, they reach out differently, they express themselves differently. So, yeah, don't be condescending if they bring something up to you. Ask for further, like, well, why did that bother you? Or what's happening with that? Or why don't you want to talk to this person anymore? Or how come you're not doing this? Just ask them for clarifying information and know that it might not just take one conversation. It might not just be one time. It might take 2, 3, 4. It might take 10 times for them finally to come out and tell you what's going on. So just have some patience with them, and understand that they are in this development age. They're trying to figure out everything, literally everything that's going on with them mentally and their hormones and their growth and their sleep, everything. They're trying to figure it out. So you are just here to guide them and help them and support them and keep them safe along the way. So it might not come out in that first question or second question, but stay on them and try to figure out what's happening. Why are they changing? Why are they moving differently?
Dr. Danielle Hairston, I think this is a good place to end this conversation, but I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season and that you can get some alone time and not feel lonely.
I'm going to
Absolutely. Thank you so very, very much. And hopefully this was helpful to those who may be struggling with this issue. I appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
That is the Daily Drum for this Wednesday, December 17th. I'm Harold Fisher. Good night.